Alright, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Hearthstone Champions League. We're 3 matches into the day, about to jump into the losers match of Group C here between Dog versus Trump. This is an elimination match, which means the loser is out of the tournament. I'm TJ, once again joined by Protohype from Follow Esports. How you doing, man?
I'm doing equally amazing as I was last match. Glad to be here. Having a great time.
Yeah, I'm having a great time as well, and I'm looking forward to see this Paladin deck from Trump in action. Might seem like some weird cards on the screen, but we do know that this is a Reno Jackson Paladin, so of course we're going to be able to see some unique cards. And this is the third Paladin mirror matchup we've seen of the day.
Definitely. And honestly, this isn't a strategy that I would particularly peg as a Reno list. It's interesting that he took the line of turning it into a more token-esque strategy, as opposed to other people trying to find more grindy replacements for their equivalent mid-range cards or what have you. So this is definitely a take that we haven't seen before.
Yeah. Let's be honest, though. A Reno deck is basically just any deck that has Reno in it.
Word.
Yeah.
Just assimilates everything else. Doesn't actually matter.
Doesn't matter. 30 random cards.
Plus Reno.
That's what I did the first day that it came out. Well, I mean, they weren't random. Like, I went in my collection, I was just like, that card seems good, that card seems good, that card seems good, that card
so
seems
you definitely
good.
didn't autofill.
And then the first game that I played, I realized that I had 30 cards, but I forgot to put Reno in the deck. So the deck was... I'm pretty sure a lot of people did this. So my deck ended up just being just like 30 random cards. And I lost, but, you know, it was a fun time.
Well, I can't quite yet see... oh, there we go. Got it lined up.
Yeah.
I was about to say that turn 3 was about to look pretty insane without the cog hammer coming down there for Trump. The double hero power with the Inspire on the 1/1, so would have had almost a full board.
Yeah.
But looks like he's gonna have an answer for that, and it looks like we'll probably just see the Shredder come down this turn.
Seems like the most reasonable play. Dog's got his spooky, scary skeleton dressed up for Christmas, it seems.
And Halloween at the same time. You got both covered.
And Halloween. And Thanksgiving.
Like he didn't feel like taking it down. Just kind of put the bow on it. Like, yeah.
Yep.
So we did see Trump go for the ooze on that turn. I don't know if that's like the ideal play there, but maybe he wanted the potential for the garrison commander to live for another turn. Maybe that's maybe a key part of his strategy. I'm not sure, but I think I would have preferred to play Shredder.
Yeah, next turn I don't think he really is going to do anything with the garrison commander anyway.
Yeah.
I guess he just worried about the threat of the cog hammer, but it really isn't that big of a threat, that weapon.
Sure.
With just a couple charges left, and Consecration is definitely going to punish this, especially since Dog still has, True Silver Champion remaining left in his hand.
Right.
He's held onto the coin to maybe make a power play with Murloc Knight in order to get that hero power out right away. So Trump, though, still has a decent curve of his own.
For sure. Yeah, seeing the Shredder come down behind the Sludge Belcher is definitely a powerful play, but honestly, not having... Oh, man, that's a lot of stats to put on the board in one turn without an answer. If Trump had stuck with the Shredder line, I think he runs it in, he gets in. Maybe he has an answer to the Murloc Knight, and maybe Dog has to make more defensive play. I'm not sure.
See, this is one of the best Murlocs that you can get from Murloc Knight, because
Absolutely.
the Murloc Knight has so much of poses so much of a threat if you leave it alive. So if you do have the option to remove it to any creature on the board, you're most likely going to pick the Murloc Knight, which in turn gives you a card from the Sylphin Spirit Walker.
Nailed it.
Yeah, there you go. I got it. Usually, at this point, I mouse over the card, but since I don't have any control over the production, I'm just going to have to wing it. Like with the crowd favorite earlier, I think that was the name of the card.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed that you knew that, because that was all kinds of blanking.
I play a lot of Arena.
I do it big.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 2 hero powers later with the Murloc Knight, Dog's board off of 1 card, looking pretty scary.
Yeah. And still, again, Trump's in that situation next turn where he will be able to kill the Murloc Knight, but in turn he's going to give Dog a card, so that's a rough life. And that just gives Dog pretty much a free pass to play whatever he wants next turn. He's going to need something really impactful coming out of this Shredder. And Master Swordsmith is probably not that. It'll even make his Justicar Trueheart potentially BGHable.
That would be depressing.
Yeah.
What have you done?
Okay. He's safe for now. Dog didn't have a BGH anyway, so...
You were the chosen one. So, can you proc the Murloc draw on your turn if you just run a 2/2? So
yeah.
It just kills it just kills the Justicar. For some reason, I thought that might only proc on your opponent's turn. But
no.
It's a lot of cards in hand.
That's really powerful. It's too bad that card has Overload.
It does? Shows how much I know about, arena-centric cards.
Yeah. He just shows how much you know about Murloc Shaman. I'm pretty sure it's just a Shaman class card with, with Overload. Pretty sure it's a 5 mana 2/5.
Stats, man.
With an Overload. It's pretty interesting card.
Lava Shock, duh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What a strong turn 7 play. Siltfin Spiritwalker into Lava Shock. Alright.
Oh, man.
I think Trump's just gonna slam down the Tyrion here. Actually, I don't know, because with Knife Juggler on the board, yeah, you got to. It's turn 8, you gotta slam it.
BGH off the top would be a choice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh no, that's so right.
Should have just turned into Master Swordsmith versus the World thing. Just pocket the Tyrion.
Yeah.
Got this, man.
It's funny because bringing Tyrion up to 7 attack would actually be a buff. Or sorry, a nerf.
Oh, definitely. Nerf Dr. Boom to 6/7 Kappa.
Someone mentioned one time, hey, why don't you make it a 5/5 that'll nerf it? I'm like, that won't even nerf it.
Just make it cost 6, bro.
Yeah.
Boombots are terror.
Yep.
So he's got double Shredders to play this turn? And he had 2?
I always have this conversation with people. What's the most that a Boombot would cost that you would play it as a single card? Like 1 Boombot.
Probably 2.
2? You wouldn't play it if it was a 3 mana?
Oh, no.
I probably wouldn't play it if it was a 2 mana.
Yeah, I wouldn't. That's like the threshold for me, I think.
Yeah.
one is fine. Mm-hmm. Free is pretty damn good.
Oh yeah, sure. Speaking of Dr. Boom,
right on time.
Yeah, Trump can be pretty confident that there is no BGH. So that's the one thing that Master Swordsmith did, was allowed Trump the peace of mind of not having to worry about BGH. But the thing is, if he plays Dr. Boom here, 7/8, then there's a potential that he's dead, because there's 12 damage on board. He's at 13 health.
Yeah, the lethal.
One juggle, yeah, one
he's got
juggle.
double muster too, if he really needs it.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, so Trump gonna just play it super safe here and try and stabilize by getting this Defender Vargas and Eldar Peacekeeper down. So it was actually pretty likely that he would have died the following turn.
Sure.
So
I actually like this play from Trump, having seen a Consecrate come out from Dog already. Trying to put as much power on the board, or vice versa, an aggregate of how much power you can put on the board and how much you can take off of your opponents. So I like that. That was solid.
Yeah. Still, he's in quite a bit of a rough position, especially since this. He's going to get lots of juggles from this Muster for Battle with the Knife Juggler on the board. He's got a really scary board that's spread out. Consecrate Draw might help him a little bit come back in the match, but even then, he would still have to take some damage in order to clear.
Yeah, that Murloc Knight really spun this game out of control in Dog's favor. I have to wonder if maybe that was the result of Shredder not being played earlier, but I can't say for sure. And it looks like Dog's going to wrap this up pretty handily.
Yeah, Trump's going to look to see if there's any way that he can come out of this one, and Doomsayer would... Master Swordsmith again? What the heck?
What's going on?
We've seen 8 Powder Treaders today, but only 4 unique cards.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so with Double Shielded Minibot coming out earlier and Master Swordsmith there. But Looks like Dog is going to take game number 1, taking a win with that Paladin deck in the mirror. So Trump does have Warrior, Paladin, and Druid, I believe, are his 3. No, Warlock.
Yes.
Warrior, Paladin, Warlock are his 3 decks. Dog has Paladin, Warrior, Druid, I believe.
Yes, and he will be able to play Druid or Warrior in these next 2 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and his Warrior is Control, as well as Trump's. So these guys have very similar lineups across the board. The one different factor being Dog with the Druid and Trump with the Handlock, which could be a little bit of a mismatchup. So
sure. I think the Druid versus Handlock match is definitely grown more in favor of Druid, not more in favor as a net total, but Druid is less bad against Warlock now, I guess we should say, with the inclusion of Aspirant in those lists, and it's definitely very close. Yeah, I think we saw double bash Warrior coming out from Trump earlier, I think, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. Well, Dog also had double bash.
Did he? Okay, I thought we only saw one, but I guess not. Interesting. So that should be a very Justicar-centric game, I would say.
When you got Reno Jackson in your deck, you got to stretch your limit of creativity.
Is that legitimately a youthful brewmaster?
It is. What's better than Reno Jackson?
I mean, nothing.
2 Reno Jacksons.
Right.
But he plays it on turn 1. Rip the dream.
Rip the dream. Tempo plays. This is legitimately an arena game.
Yeah. And sometimes it feels like it with these Reno Jackson decks. You just get to choose the most broken of arena decks.
Got your choice.
Imagine if you got Reno Jackson in an arena deck.
That would be absolutely brutal.
Because then, yeah. Actually, no, because you'd have to get it early.
Right.
Yeah.
It could randomly fit in, I suppose, with
a
lack of 2-ups.
Mm-hmm. So, Trump does have multiple 5-drops here, so coining out something like a Lotheb feels like a reasonable play in this situation, because then you could follow it up with a Tuskar Jouster.
For sure. I think you just have to put that power on the board to try and, as silly as it may sound, to try and get your Garrison Commander online, maybe to get some Quartermaster value on this turn after.
Those are some really pretty flowers that Dog has.
I'm definitely admiring the framing at the moment. Like the focal point, apparently on a Jenga stand.
Yeah.
World Jenga Championships, dude. Serious business.
I want to know what kind of things go on in Dog's room.
Do that.
He's got a bouquet of flowers on a Jenga stand, and then
like one on the right shoulder, one on the left.
Yeah, and then a skeleton with a bow and mistletoe, or jingle bells hanging off of it. What a unique individual.
Indeed.
And he has a Cult Master in his deck. Okay. Very interesting deck from Trump here. Trump, once upon a time, an arena-only player, so this type of deck fits him seemingly very well. But Dog, pretty good position on the board. He's going to protect his shade, and looks like the only thing that's going to reach this thing by the time Dog gets into combo range is going to be an Equality combined with a Consecrate. So in a Reno deck, that combination is not nearly as likely when you're only running one copy of either of those cards.
Right. It sounded like when you said Reno that you were saying arena, and I was like, wow, we're taking this metaphor to like the end of the world.
Yeah. So these Reno decks, they're sort of like arena.
I was super confused for a second. Trump will have the BGH this turn for the boom.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine he just sticks with the Garrison Commander Hero Power plan after that. Maybe wants to stack up a Justicar Hero Power on the following turn.
Yeah.
Wow, sucking up damage like a boss. That's Shredder.
Champion Shredder. Not often do you see that play. Voluntarily killing your own Shredder into.
Yeah, that is not something you see every day.
But I'd still say Dog has quite a bit of initiative on the board. And it seems like it's going to be automatic Keeper plus Shredder play. And threat after threat after threat, all of a sudden Dog is... Oh, he's going to cash in. Now the BGH is gone. He realizes that he can just unleash the shade and put all the pressure in the world on him. So Trump does draw into the Reno Jackson. But the one thing about Druids is a lot of times they do, 20 plus damage if they can hold on to the board. So Reno Jackson doesn't always save you against Druid boards like it does against some faster decks or even in control matchups.
Yeah, especially in this scenario. And it's interesting that the Dog chose to swing with the 7/7. I like that a lot. I think that's a call that not a lot of people would have made. The further he gets past turn 6, like the higher chance he has of drawing into what I would presume Dog thinks is the second out to complete the Quality Consecrate combo. And as we know, Trump doesn't have either of those pieces, so this is looking pretty good for him, considering he has to owl this turn. And it may have not been what he would have liked to do. He could also... yeah, I mean... You can hero power multiple times, but I think you just have to commit to the Justicar and try and get a good Quartermaster down. I think that's really the only play. Just hope he doesn't have the swipe.
Yeah, definitely agree. And Quartermaster will, at the very minimum, get you 2 buffed targets, and that's if none of your Silverhand recruits can survive from the turn before. So
for sure,
I definitely like that play. And Dog gonna dig, looking for that second piece of the combo with the Force of Nature, and nope, doesn't find it. It took us a bit. We had a little bit of handception going on there.
Oh man, getting crazy. Wow, that's another unique card for sure.
Not punished for Shredder placement.
Never lucky, rubber ducky.
Never lucky for us. Pretty lucky for him, actually.
So, man, not having a 1/1 to Quartermaster this turn is really rough, considering a 4/3 pops out. But I guess we could. Do you really have to Reno, like, just for board? Is that what it's come to?
I mean, he can Quartermaster here.
Yeah, that's true. It's just, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that's really the only play. Maybe you just have to bank on not being dead to combo or what have you. Maybe you could run the Owlin, maybe Coghammer the Reno. All the other plays just seem super reaching and not that good. So I don't know.
Playing Reno at 21 health, you might as well just play a heal bot.
Yeah, it looks like he's gonna actually play the Reno and Coghammer. I mean, I thought about that, but it's like, I don't know. Maybe
we're gonna be rich.
I think it was worth thinking about just Coghammering first and not actually getting the taunt bonus and gaining the extra 4 HP. Maybe the Divine Shield is worth it since he's already used the Keeper. That's a tough play from Trump's perspective. I'm not really sure which one is correct.
Yeah. And it just seems really grim for him at the moment because
Yeah.
Dog just so much control right now over the game. Trump needs to get a lot of mileage out of just the body of the Reno Jackson in order to try and come back in this one.
Yeah, he really seemingly won't have a window because he doesn't have one of the pieces already to rip into a removal spell and then have a window to lay on hands or something like that. So this lay on hands is really not doing too much. But Tyrion is a solid pickup here.
Yeah. It's going to allow him to loose fight back on the board a little bit. And is one Keeper gone?
One Keeper is gone.
Okay. So likelihood that he has second one is... It's decent, but it's not super likely at this point. And we can see that Dog doesn't have it. Gonna dig.
Excavate a little, if you will.
Doesn't find it. I thought he only drew one card there, but he drew 2. So, this Tyrion's gonna do some work, but still, Dog's just like a draw away or a couple of draws away from closing out the game. With Force of Nature, Savage Roar plus Innervate, it's gonna be really tough. And all right, Harrison Jones, not the best of draws either. Druids don't have weapons. You can't take away their claws. I think Trump's only option here is going to be to try and lay on hands to maybe dig for that equality and hope that he can clear off the board with these 1/1s. But once again, Dog's in a situation where, especially after multiple turns of Emperor Thorsan, all of a sudden if he draws a Force of Nature, he can Force of Nature, Druid of the Claw plus Savitar in a single turn.
Yeah, that's definitely
super powerful.
Definitely increased the amount of kill conditions that he has.
Yeah.
Forms of kill, rather, not necessarily the amount of or the type of cards. But
yeah.
Dog's still in a super or Trump's still in a super up spot. He's going to opt to lay on hands this turn because if he doesn't now, he never will be able to.
Yeah. I think he just has to dig for the equality here and see if he can what he can find, and doesn't find it. The other one in the deck. It can be a little bit of an inconsistent draw, so he's going to get rid of the higher priority target here with the Emperor Thorsan and, just hope. And that's a lot of damage. So that's 8 on board, plus both Druid of the Claws is another 8, which is 16. Savage Roar would be 8, so that's 24. Plus, both Savage Roars. So Druid of the Claw plus both Savage Roars.
There's no way that's not lethal, because that's 10 damage per Savage Roar, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, he can play all of it, okay.
Yeah.
In what world can you play both Druid of the Claws and both Savage Roars and not have lethal?
Some crazy stuff has to happen.
He was thinking, is the Tyrion going to block enough damage? But no. 16 plus 7 is 23. Plus 9 is a solid 32 damage. And with that, Dog is going to take game number 2, and thus a 2-0 lead in the series. Only deck he has remaining left is Warrior, and he's going to have 3 opportunities to find that win.
Yes, he will. It was a bit unfortunate of Trump not to have a single piece either of the Equality Consecrate combo that he was looking for, but playing those Reno-centric lists, that's kind of a risk you take, and it wound up working against him there.
Reno-centric. I like that.
Coined TM.
Man. Well, we'll see what Trump's going to throw out. He's actually going to throw out the Warrior, too. So we got ourselves a good old-fashioned showdown. Control Warrior versus Control Warrior. Hold on to your bootstraps, everybody.
You definitely need to cosplay as Reno, at least once in your life. That should happen.
Me specifically?
Yes, you specifically.
Oh, jeez. Cosplay as Reno Jackson or Reno the City?
Oh, damn. That's you got me there. I don't know.
Reno Jackson. It's just a hat. That's all it is.
I mean, doesn't he have
just
put on a dope mustache? Isn't that a thing?
Oh yeah. You're gonna Google it now?
I'm definitely Googling. Whoa, wait. I'll do that after.
Okay. God.
Keyboard's a little crazy.
We'll see. If we can see Reno Jackson again sometime during the tournament. How do you wear a fake mustache if you already have a mustache? Does that work?
Stashception. I don't know.
Does adhesive stick to hair?
I think it would, and I think it would be very painful to remove.
All right.
But
we're gonna X the Reno Jackson cosplay.
Already? Weak.
Yeah. Well, this matchup basically comes down to a couple things. One, who can draw Justicar Trueheart quicker, and 2, who can be greedier and smarter with their removal. If one player has to use their removal to take out a smaller threat earlier in the game, that's another piece of removal that they're not going to have for a big threat later on. If one player can get multiple turns of Ysera value and the other player doesn't, that can be enough to swing the matchup. Because a lot of times Control Warrior versus Control Warrior does come down to fatigue. So small choices early on in the game with removal. And also, small choices in deck building and composition. If one player has acolytes and the other doesn't, the player without acolytes has a distinct advantage. So it's a pretty intricate matchup.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And also, like, individual cards, like you said, like maybe double brawl, like coming in to bite you because nobody's trying to play minions or whatever. Like, you know, individual top end choices like Baron Geddon or no Baron Geddon. It's interesting. Both players seemingly playing acolytes.
Yeah.
And we know they both are packing Bash. I don't know if either of them are playing double brawl per se. I think we were looking for that earlier. We never saw it. So, but Dog picking up Justicar and Trump picking up Justicar on turn 6 as well. Both.
Man.
He'll be able to play it now because he's on the play. But it looks like he's going to end up playing the Shield Maiden for stats and saving it for the reset.
Yeah. This is good. In the mirror matches that we had so far, we've had pretty even footing for both. We didn't have any blowout Druid mirror matchups where one player got ramped and the other didn't. It looks like we're not going to have any Control Warrior mirror matchups where one player gets Justicar and the other doesn't. There are some Control Warrior players, one of them, at least in the past, being your teammate, VLPS, who said he doesn't like Justicar, Trueheart, and Control Warrior, but I'm pretty sure he's changed his ways.
I would hope so.
Since then. He advocated against Justicar, Trueheart for a long time, but I think he's since then changed his ways. It's a tough card to argue against in Warrior.
It could just get really out of hand. Just like do the math on 10 turns of Justicar, and you're just like, oh my goodness, like what is Thorson really doing for me? But,
yeah.
So Trump doesn't really have any solid creature to play on this particular turn. He could Baron, doesn't really do anything. He doesn't really want to give up a free kill with the Shield Maiden. He'll probably use that to clean up some smaller minions like the second half of Belcher, or like an Armorsmith Acolyte play or something like that.
Yeah. He can Justicar Shield Slam if he wants to get rid of that Shield Maiden.
For sure.
But again, you want to try and be as greedy as possible with your removals in this matchup, just because of the nature of it. It's a really tough matchup when it gets to those top end curve, because if you use your removals early on, all of a sudden you don't have an answer to Ysera, and you lose the game because of the value that Ysera offers.
That's a good point. I think I would have liked to see Justicar get online for Trump that turn, but maybe Baron Geddon is a comparable solution. He's gonna go ahead and Death Spite down this 1/2. It looks like. And I suspect he'll be saving the shield block, but Dog
throw a bash.
Yeah, definitely.
Threat after threat after threat, but does Dog really want to throw in anything to the second Death Spite charge? He needs to picks up a Shield Slam, so finds removal, but again doesn't develop anything. This gives the initiative over to Trump for the first time in the match, and he's got a lot of pretty good cards, and he's going to opt for the Alexstrasza first, getting that out of the way. Still no Justicar, realizes that he's going to be able to double dip next turn, armor up, Justicar tank up.
Yeah, and forcing a Shield Slam on that BGH-able target is really solid. So Dog, but unfortunate not having one of his 2 BGHs in his hand at the moment. But Trump definitely going to go ahead and commit to the turn 10 reset, and he'll get that Justicar online.
I feel like I'm watching a copy pasta unfold.
Right.
All right, well, the armor up begins. We're still quite a ways off from fatigue, so. Trump's throwing into his mid-game threats a little bit quicker than Dog is, which is what you want. You want your opponent to have to expend removal on those mid-range threats, like the Shield Maidens, like the Belchers.
For sure.
So that way you make room for your bigger threats later on, the more impactful ones. Alexstrasza really isn't that impactful. The big cards that you're looking for, or the big card that you're looking for, is mostly Ysera.
Sure.
So Dog's probably going to be really protective of that. especially since he really hasn't seen any removal yet from Trump. Hasn't seen a single execute or shield slam. So if he plays Ysera now, it's very, very likely that it would just get removed. So he's just going to go ahead, play his own Alexstrasza. Looks like he does value that slightly less.
Yeah, and going back to that turn where Trump played the Baron, I think he actually had to just get rid of the Sludge Belcher on that particular turn with a creature rather than a removal spell, because we were talking about how those are so important in this matchup, and saving them for as long as you can for a Ysera or a dry Grom or something that comes out in close to fatigue. So I think that was definitely the way to go.
Yeah. And Trump, he thought for a second about holding on to the Belcher, just to not give any value to Brawl, which has some merit in this matchup because it's not about bursting your target down, especially since Trump doesn't have that Grom win condition just yet. It's more about grinding them out, forcing them to use their removal inefficiently, getting the most out of your creatures.
Okay, and we did see the deck sizes for both players, so we're both even at 13 at the moment. So Trump, as it stands, barring any draws, will be in fatigue one turn sooner than Dog, to clarify.
Well, he realizes that Alexstrasza is out of the way, and so is Baron Geddon. So he feels comfortable in using the Big Game Hunter now to try and fight back on the board a little bit and clear off the Shield Maiden.
Yeah, seeing the Baron Geddon come out already, I think that's probably one of the only reasons he wound up doing that. But at the same time, he didn't really have another answer to like push through a Belcher or something with a weapon, or go over the top of the Shield Slam. He really only had the play with Taskmaster and BGH.
Now he doesn't have an activator for Execute.
That is true.
But I think that's the least of his worries right now. He just wants to protect these big threats and doesn't have any means to.
So if you're Trump and you're only playing one Taskmaster, probably hold it and maybe use your Death Spite. It's not quite as relevant. Harrison coming out for Trump. Big leg up in the mirror. Dog definitely still has weapons in the deck.
Has he used any?
I thought he used one. I might be crazy.
Trump's used a Fire War Axe and a Deathbite. You know that for sure.
Want to buy like out of game deck tracker for sure. I think I think he I want to say he's used one weapon, but I'm probably wrong.
Yeah. And so he's just going to use Grom to clear here. And realizes that this matchup is most likely going to go to fatigue, so he's not going to be able to get that 10 damage in. He just saw some removal, but Trump does have a BGH waiting for that. But if he BGHs, he's super vulnerable to Baron Geddon, so... Oh, he's going to Shield Slam his own Sylvanas?
For a second, I thought he was going to Shield Slam it, and that's actually... It just seems like a really terrible play in this matchup.
Yeah.
Like using your Sylvanas, which is almost technically a removal spell, and a Shield Slam, I don't know. Especially when you're saying, like you mentioned, that Grom won't end you the game in this matchup no matter really what you do, especially against Dog's list, which I'm sure Trump has seen. So
yeah, it's usually used as removal or to do like 12 extra damage when you're already in fatigue.
Right.
At that point, usually you're behind and you're having to use it to catch up because that's one extra threat that you withheld before the fatigue match settled in.
Definitely.
Dog manages to navigate this pretty well, trying to force Trump into a situation where he has to trade in the Sylvanas, and he uses an Execute, so that's another piece of removal down for Trump.
Definitely. Dog, I like the task Execute on Sylvanas and giving him the 2/2, and then just going ahead and playing Baron Geddon, but I don't know if Dog's on that line yet. I think that's probably his... maybe just the Fire War Axe, just keep the Taskmaster for... Yeah, that just seems like a better play. So the pickup of the War Axe is huge there, not having to give up your Taskmaster, save your Execute.
Mm-hmm.
The former scenario is definitely more of a desperation play if you don't hit the 3 damage there. Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't think you really want to be playing Baron Geddon into Sylvanas regardless. So.
Yeah, that's a little bit rough. And
I would say that's a no-go. So it looks like this Fire War Axe is just going to take out the the Taskmaster next turn.
Yeah, I guess he's doesn't want to take 15 damage from a Sylvanas, and
He does have
also
the beach though. Fair
yeah,
enough.
and also hedging his bets against something like this, a second Sludge Belcher, where he wouldn't be able to throw that second Fireworks charge in. So
Sure.
a pretty decent read, and Baron Geddon will be a pretty nice clear here. Dog is very behind in health, very far behind.
He is.
At the end of this turn, he's going to be at exactly 30 effective health, whereas Trump is,
About
sitting pretty comfortable at the old 58. Yeah.
Yeah, both players have managed to get pretty decent value out of all of their cards, and Dog actually gets the boom off the top directly after Trump uses his BGH. So Trump may be forced into a situation where he has to use a Shield Slam way sooner than he would like. And, definitely a great pickup for Dog.
I think Trump, if I was in this situation and I had this much of a health lead, I would just start, hacking away with my Death Spite. Just use
And I think
big game
Trump's
hunter
in a similar game plan for sure. He definitely wants to extend that lead going into fatigue, as he still has a draw. He has an answer to the boom if he really wants to. And but if Trump uses the Shield Slam on this particular turn, we may see a window where Dog can effectively use Sarah unmatched. So that would be something to watch out for.
I was thinking Trump was actually gonna use his Death Bite, kill the Dr. Boom with the Death Bite and the Dr. Boom.
Sure.
The Death Bite and the Big Game Hunter. Because that 4 damage to face that he got from that Big Game Hunter was pretty inconsequential in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, and losing that Shield Slam is actually really huge. I don't know. I think I agree with you. I don't think that was probably the play there. He wound up saving Harrison though, so
he effectively traded his Shield Slam for 4 damage to face.
Yeah,
and saving 7 damage on his own face.
Sure.
Which at this much of a health lead, I don't think that health differential matters at all. And Brawl comes a turn late. That could have been used last turn to help him remove that Dr. Boom. But did Dog had an opportunity to play Ysera last turn and didn't play it?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a hard call to make. Knowing Shump is on 3 cards still, knowing that he's only used I think 1 of each removal spell, maybe.
He's used both Shield Slams actually.
Both Shield Slams and 1 Execute. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he used the other Shield Slam because I remember
he
having
had
2
2 in
Shield
his
Slams
opening. You're right. Yeah.
So 1 Execute is gone also, and Big Game Hunter is gone. Not that it matters against Ysera.
For sure.
Unless you have double Taskmaster,
Taskmaster PG. If you've seen 3 removal spells, you have to. I think you have to at least consider Ysera. He didn't even appear to really think about it. He just kind of armored up and armor smithed and passed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe realizing that Ysera probably should have come down last turn, but that's an interesting debate.
Yeah, and now he basically just gave Trump an extra draw. He might have wanted that slime removed. Oh, hello. He might have wanted that slime removed to get to get rid of the brawl value. Like 3 creatures being on the brawl greatly reduces the chance that Ysera comes out alive. And so most likely an Execute coming out of Ysera, because that is the... Ooh, is he going to try and brawl first?
Maybe just play the Armor Smith first and...
To get an armor?
I mean, as the game goes on later and later, it's easier for a Dog to play around Brawl. It worked out.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a necessary play because he had already used the 3rd Shield Slam, and this is his last removal spell. Really.
Yeah.
And he's got the Death Spite hooked up, so maybe that was a necessary play.
Well, that basically solidifies Trump's lead because he still holds on to a removal spell even after Ysera's used, so I don't really think Dog has many spells that are going to help him.
For sure.
Or many creatures that are going to help him. Because Acolyte of Pain at this stage is pretty much dead. I think the bottom part of his deck has 2 weapons in it, or 3 weapons in it.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it's going to be enough with how far behind he is. He's going to be what, one fatigue ahead, maybe a couple more if Trump uses Harrison Jones or uses his shield block. But I just don't think there's any reason to use the shield block at any point for the remainder of this game.
Yeah, especially when your hero power is representing, one less, and keeping you out of a weird fatigue scenario. I do like that Trump used that brawl early, not waiting until it was one of the last cards in your hand. I've definitely been in that scenario a lot, where your brawl is just not doing anything against that board of 2 creatures, and you don't have a creature to pair it with. So that was probably the last good opportunity for him to use it. And it wound up paying dividends on these next turns.
Oh. Well, Trump just has threats in the bottom half of his deck, where Dog just has weapons and what seems like utility in the bottom half of his deck.
That power yawn.
Whoa! Whoa! Look at that sucker.
So the tempo he's used Alexstrasza. Trump has used Alexstrasza, Grommash, Baron Geddon. So I'm having a hard time advocating the tempo BGH there. I don't know. Maybe with it kind of depends on how many cards he has left in his deck, but
well, he took out the Grommash.
Yeah.
The BGH.
Oh, was that what that hit? I thought he just played the tempo BGH.
No, he took out the Grom Hellscream.
Oh, ignore me, sorry.
Yeah. So it was a tempo BGH that also happened to kill a 10-8.
Also happened to kill a 10 power creature.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
Alright, well, there's Fireworks pickup, so that saves him a lot of headache, I guess. Yeah, he could have Harrison Jones there, but at this point, I don't even know if he wants to, because that'll just get him further into his deck. And he holds on to the Dr. Boom also. I don't know what he's waiting for.
So Trump is officially...
Oh, wow. Ysera is his last card. Does Dog have any removal spells left? And actually, here, this might look like Dog has a decent shot here, because he has Ysera Awakens.
Yeah, on top of the Sylvanas as well.
Yeah.
So only having 3 creatures left and only one really of consequence is pretty worst case scenario for Trump, I would say.
All right. What's Dog's last card?
He picks up a Deathbite.
Oh, he's got 2 cards left. Okay.
And I would imagine the last one's a weapon as well.
Yeah, probably Fire War Axe, I think. So that'll help him catch up on fatigue, since he's already going to be, what, 3 turns ahead with the Harrison Jones draw, because this will be the second point of fatigue here.
Yeah, let's see. So, interesting. He plays the Boom. You have to play the Taskmaster to increase your chances, maybe, and then you just Brawl, or you just dry Brawl to try and hit the the Boom bot, and then save your Sylvanas. If he's been paying attention to the ordering of his cards, he knows he has Ysera left. Yeah. So, you just save the Sylvanas, Ysera Awakens to steal Ysera, and then that's game. I think. Okay, he still has the Execute. Okay, the last card in his deck was an Execute. Interesting. So he's only running 3 weapons?
Yeah, what? No, that's weird. Just one copy of Fire War Axe is a little bit weird.
Yeah, I've seen those lists running around, the one War Axe list. I thought people were off of that, but apparently Dog has steadfast.
All right, well, unless he is going to take a lot of... I think this is Dog's game. Because Trump has to play Ysera, and Dog can just hold on to Ysera Awakens and Sylvanas until he knows for absolute certainty that, Trump doesn't have anything left. And there's not a Control Warrior list in the entire world right now that doesn't run Ysera. At least, it's just such a great win condition. And Nightmare is the worst pickup since he's not going to have a board for the rest of this match. He can use it as, a removal. For Ysera, like a delayed removal for Ysera. So I guess it actually is pretty good.
So he's 29 on the 15. He's got 44 HP from Dog, and
wait a second, this is gonna be close because Trump.
It is gonna be pretty close.
He can use Nightmare as a delayed removal, but he's
still
3 turns
the 9
behind.
Damage, right?
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Wow. And I'm pretty sure Dog can play Acolyte of Pain if he can reasonably deduct.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty hard if he's not keeping like card for card tally, but he does end up playing it.
Yeah, I like that. It's an extra 1 damage every turn in a game that's this close. I think Dog
Sure.
has it because there's only a 4 or an 8 health differential right now.
Yeah, and he got the Emerald Drake. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
definitely Dog's game.
yeah, for sure. Wow, that looked actually. It was looking. Look at Trump's face. He's disgruntled.
Wow, man, being 1 or 2 cards ahead in that
Yeah,
matchup really solidified a
yeah,
early grave for Trump. That was pretty impressive. And
yeah,
Dog only running 3 weapons actually wound up paying off.
yeah. Because that Fire War Axe didn't. Second Fire War Axe would have been sort of a dead draw there at the end, and I was trying to keep track of that removal. And it is really fortunate that that Dog did get the Ysera Awakens off of the Ysera there, because that allowed him to steal.
Definitely.
I think it would have been the same if he had gotten Nightmare. It had just been, delayed
Sure.
because
And he
it
would have
would
been
have
able to kill off the Sylvanas, but Ysera would have wound up doing some extra damage.
yeah. So
Interesting.
really cool matchup, and Dog. Big thing is our Dog takes that series 3-0. So unfortunately, Trump has been eliminated from the group. He will not be moving on. Our final match is set, so it's going to be Dog taking on Nimsh for that second spot coming out of Group C. But before we jump into that match, we are going to have to go to a quick break while the players get set up. So the final match of the Hearthstone Champions League Group C will continue right after this break.